Second time's the charm. What's up everybody, welcome back to the Danator channel. In today's video we're going to be looking at the Pittsburgh 1,000 pound engine stand. I've got this 99 Silverado behind me that I lovingly call Silverusto. Pulling the motor out of this thing so I can put it in my 1997 Chevrolet Camaro RS, which is Project ZRS on this channel, so if you want to check that out, check the link in the description below. But anyway, once this motor comes out, I gotta have a place to put it so that I can tear it down, look into it, and whatever I need to do with the engine. So we're gonna crack this puppy open and assemble it, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on it. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so this Pittsburgh stand features an I-shape that prevents tipping. It's fully adjustable, rotates 360 degrees. The front features 2 swivel casters with brakes, fixed casters in the back, and it's got 4 adjusting arms for easy engine block mounting. There are the specifications, and it's engineered to comply. Fantastic. Okay, so full disclosure, I've already opened this. I wanted to see what kind of grade these bolts were. I went to the hardware store and I found a little heavier grade bolts where the engine and the stand bolt together. Thought that could probably use an upgrade. Okay, so we've got our owner's manual and it's got all the assembly instructions, so let's follow these constructions. So that's all the hardware they give you in the box. I'm going to be assembling this with my dynamic tools. Check out the link in the description. You can get 15% off if you use Danator 15 as the promo code every time you order. So you order this today, 15% off. Order something else tomorrow, 15% off, so long as you use code Danator 15. And check out dynamic tools in the link in the description below. Okay, so it's calling for the column, the rear beam, and the middle beam to be put together with one singular bolt. Interesting, so let's see how that works. I'm just going to put that there. That's going to sit right there. This has a hole in the bottom with a nut actually welded to the inside of that beam. So that's what this bolt threads into. Slide that in there. So I'm going to use my dynamic tools. It's got a nice laser edge socket, knurled edge right there to spin with your fingers, even if you have greasy hands, and then a really nice smooth ratchet. Of all the ratchets I've ever owned, this one has quickly become my favorite. That's on there good and tight. Now we're going to attach the front beam on. Got these 2 bolts, washers, and nuts. Let's line up the holes. These are 17mm bolts and nuts. Now we'll put the casters on with these 4 little bolts and nuts with the lock washers. The diagram shows the bolt on the bottom, the washer, the lock washer, and then the nut. So it's going to be like that. So these bolts and nuts are 14mm. So I'll just repeat this process 6 more times. Alright, and these rear wheels just go on like that, and the washer, and then the snap ring. So this is the bolt that comes in the package, 8.8. Went to the hardware store and got the same M12 1.75 by 70mm, but this is a 10.9. So I went with a little bit of an upgrade on the bolt. And I did the same with the nuts, class 10.9, M12 by 1.75. Right now it's calling for the plate. See all those holes where you can rotate it, and there's a big cotter pin you can put in. This is very disappointing. So I got this all the way in, as far as it'll go, and look at that. The hole does not even line up. Wow. So obviously that is extremely frustrating. I'm double checking to make sure I'm putting everything in the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it goes. And the stupid hole does not line up. Unbelievable. So I took the engine stand back to Harbor Freight and exchanged it for another one. Only this one looks different than the first one, even though they share the same item number. Interesting. As I sit here editing this video, I noticed something about the original engine stand. The picture on the box didn't match what was in the box.
Hey, what is going on here?
The picture shows the rear wheels under the square tubing, not outside the tubing on the welded posts. Interesting. The one that I just opened actually matches the picture on the box. All right, so this one is definitely designed differently. So I bought those higher grade bolts, and I don't think that's going to work with this one because these bolts look different. Because of course, I don't know if the other one was refurbished or something and sold as new, or if this is just a different design for the same product. I don't know. The rear beam is definitely different because you're actually going to bolt the wheels in place instead of putting those C-clips, snap rings. And that main support beam, instead of there being just one bolt that went through the middle and held everything together, there's actually like 3 bolts now. Interesting. So this middle beam does not have a hole through it. This has the hole in the nut for the bolt to go through. So essentially, this is just pressure fit in here. Anyway. Now the rear beam fits right here like this with the holes lined up. And the lock washer nut goes on the end. So these are 17 millimeter. Same deal, bolt goes through, lock washer nut on the other end. If you're looking for some awesome, funny, punny, or parody shirts, hoodies, hats, and stickers, check out the official Daninator merch store in the links below this video. Any purchase you make goes directly towards helping this channel grow. So grab yourself some sweet designs now, and I guarantee you'll be the coolest person in the room. Well, that's my opinion anyways. These casters have the peg on them. Run that in the hole, and we got a washer, a lock washer, and a nut. And this nut is a 19 millimeter. So to tighten this down, I'm going to use my dynamic tools, flex head, stubby, ratcheting wrench. I absolutely love these ratcheting flex head wrenches from dynamic tools. So these rear wheels come with little bushing sleeves. And these are the bolts. These are 14 millimeter. Just run that sleeve down there in the middle. Line up the holes. And then we've got our washer, lock washer, and nut. Alright, so this is where we ran into the issue last time. Again, this is totally different. There's actually a grease zerk fitting right here, so you can grease this thing. There's no inner sleeve like the other one had. We've got a plastic cap that comes off. Big hole there for the handle, and of course the safety pin goes in there. There's a ridge here for a snap ring to go over. Alright, so that fits. And the hole lines up for the pin.
Inconceivable!
So that's a plus. You like to see that with an engine stand. You really do. Quite a bit of play. I'd like to see that be much tighter. Maybe I can find a different pin or a bolt or something maybe that would fit in there better. But that's an awful lot of slop. So there's the mounting brackets. The welds look okay. These bolts are a lot thicker. The washer is a whole lot thicker than the other one. Anyway, we'll just put those on finger tight. I'm not going to put the snap ring on because I'm going to actually be taking all this apart. I want to connect this mounting plate to the engine first and then slide it in here and put it all together whenever I'm ready to put the engine on the engine stand. All right, again, yeah, totally different design than the one I took back. So there's that. Bolts seem to be girthy. Yeah, these are 8.8s, so I may upgrade those to 10 point whatevers. I've got to come up with some bolts to actually connect the engine stand to the engine. So once I get the engine out, I'll be able to do some measuring and figure out what length of bolt and how many washers or whatever I'm going to need. So yeah, now it's time to get that puppy out. Okay, so tonight in the garage, I'm going to try to put my engine on the engine stand. So I went to the hardware store today and bought some bolts. I took the bolts that I had from the engine stand and I bought some replacement ones for this. These are 8.8, probably no reason to buy harder bolts, but I did. Just something about Harbor Freight bolts holding my engine. I just kind of didn't feel too comfortable about it. So I went ahead and bought some hardened bolts. These are 10.9. So we're going to run with these to hold these arms to the plate. This engine stand did not come with bolts to hold the engine to the arm, so I had to do a little measuring to determine what length of bolt I needed to fit into the bell housing bolt area to this. So I'll show you what I did. Okay, so what I did was I found the bolt that went in the bell housing. I believe these are 10 millimeters in width. I just ran the bolt into the hole and then like right there it stops. So I put a piece of tape on the bolt and that gave me how deep the bolt goes into the block. So basically I need that much bolt to stick out. So from here to here, that's how long my bolt needs to be. And obviously the hardware store is probably not going to have the exact length of bolt that this comes to, so there's a way around that. So what I ended up doing was buying a couple of washers. So then that way I have a little bit of space there to space this out properly. Boom, I've got the right length for this bolt to hold the arm to the engine. Now the other spot is going to be down here, and I did the same thing. The distance into the block is more shallow than this one was up here. I had to buy a different length of a bolt. Plus I bought washers for this one, but you can see that I needed a shorter bolt. So the bolt length depends on which hole you're going to be bolting to. Alright, so this is what I ended up with. I believe these are 190 millimeters, 180 millimeters. These were 10 mil in width. I'm reusing the washers that came with the engine stand. You're probably saying you didn't have to buy those hardened steel bolts. Those bolts that came with the stand are perfectly reasonable and will do the job. Oh well, it's my engine. I guess I can do what I want. Try to take this flex plate off. We're not going to need it where we're going. Alright, so moment of truth. Let's see how well my pre-planning did. Is this going to fit? I think that'll work. So what I'm going to be doing is using this bolt hole right here. I believe this is where that ground strap was. Yeah. But it's the same thread size and it's the same depth as the bell housing bolts. Okay, and then I'm going to be using the lower bolt where that bell housing is below this alignment peg. I might need an extra washer. Yeah, that kind of stopped a little short. Yeah, there's just a little bit of play in that one. I guess 2 washers are in order. Okay, so I bought this thicker and thinner one. I went into my tool chest and I found a much thicker one. So I want to run these 2 thick ones and get rid of this thin one. That should give us the space we need. Yep, that'll do it. So my thought is to bolt the plate to the arms, lift the engine up and roll the engine stand underneath it and bring the engine stand to this backing plate in post and try to line it up. I think that'd be the easiest way to do this. All right, no more engine hoist, only engine stand. These exhaust manifold bolts held just fine. I was pretty nervous about it. These 4 bolts held up that engine with that chain. Surely if those 4 bolts can hold the entire engine, then these bolts I just bought will hold it to the engine stand. Well, if I hear a crash in the middle of the night, I'll know what it is. So my engine has been on this engine stand for several months now. The stand doesn't show any signs of bowing or flexing under the weight of this 5.3, which is good. Rotating the engine isn't hard, but it is a little tricky. meaning you have to brace yourself to carry the weight of the rotating engine until you're able to get the safety pin back into the hole. It may require an extra set of hands, just saying. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the Pittsburgh 1,000 pound engine stand from Harbor Freight. It's a quality item at a decent price, and I like that. As always, thanks for watching. God bless. Be sure to hit that like switch on your way out, and we'll see you next time.